The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
A new report from the NFL Network sheds some light on what the Jets' plans are at the quarterback spot going forward. We'll talk about that and much more when Robby Sabo of JetsXFactor.com joins us in his weekly spot on the show. It's the Jake Asman Show, and guess what? It starts right now. Man. This is the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go on a Tuesday, and I want to start with this. If you're wondering, wait, is this live? Is this not live? Well, here's the news. It's not live. It's being live streamed on my YouTube channel that you're watching right now. But this show is pre-recorded because StreamYard, the program I use and many streamers use to broadcast their shows, well, it's experiencing nationwide audio issues. So no one could actually hear what I would be saying. But we could pre-record the show and still post it up on the channel, and that's what we're doing right now. So no calls, no super chats. I plan to do the giveaway for the Quinnen Williams jersey on this show, but we'll have to save that for when StreamYard is functioning again. But the show must go on. And with that said, I say hello to my good friend Robby Sabo of JetsXFactor.com and a New York State champion football coach. Port Jervis getting it done inside the Carrier Dome. Robby, congrats to you and the entire Port Jervis squad.
Yeah, shout out to those kids, Dylan Fox, Maddox, Dolshin, Carol Dolshin. There's so many kids to go over. Anthony Theodore. They were just so hungry. I mean, the improvement they made from, first coming into the program to now is just, it's an absurdity. Yeah, first time in school history, we literally had to play the perfect game 2 games in a row, the semifinals, and then this upset, quote unquote, as everyone's calling it, because this team has only lost 1 game in the last 50 or 51. I forget the exact number. But shout out to those kids. Tremendous job. If you want to check out the highlights, just look up Port Jervis football. And also, Jake, we can tell them the truth. The reason we're not going live is because of the new clause in my contract. I'm sick of getting bullied by the Asmaniacs. They're very, very mean to me. And no more. No mas.
No calls from the Asmaniacs that you'll have to deal with today, Robby. But we do got a lot to get into. I know, obviously, this season's been a nightmare. This Jets team is 3-10. I'll start with just the game Sunday. We don't have to spend a ton of time on it. But watching it back, Robby, what stood out? Yet another opportunity for the Jets to win a game, lead late in the fourth quarter, as usual, and they can't close. And that's been a problem all year. Garrett Wilson talked about the losing gene they have, and I don't think there's ever been a quote that's more spot on than that. The Chiefs find ways to win. The Jets invent new ways weekly to lose.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson's spot on with the losing gene, but I think to hammer it further, it's if you make it more complicated than it actually is, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's not a losing gene with the Jets organization per se. It's coaching. It boils down to coaching. That's all it is. Like the Chiefs, if someone wants to try to convince me the Chiefs didn't have the losing gene prior to Reed and Mahomes, you're barking up the wrong tree. Reed changed the culture. The league morphed into his mindset, the way he's always wanted to play football. So kind of fortunate in that degree, but regardless, he deserves all the flowers in the world. It's coaching. The Jets have a ton of talent. They could be ready to roll if they find the right coach, identify him, go after the right traits that deal with leadership, and authenticity and innovation and versatility. And if you get that guy, you could be a stud team next year. Like all these close games, it's nothing that you're losing. It's nothing but coaching and leadership, period.
Tough to argue with that. And some of the numbers that back that up, I mean, 0-7 in one possession games this year, 5 leads in the fourth quarter. The Jets have blown, which is the most in franchise history. Look, maybe we overrated some of the talent on this team, but I still maintain what I felt like coming into this year. This roster was more than good enough to be a playoff team this year, even with whatever version they get game to game of Aaron Rodgers, even with some of the issues they've had up front with the defensive line and some injuries there, all around on the defense. The talent's there. The coaching has been the biggest problem, and it just continues to emphasize just how damn important it is for Woody Johnson to get it right with the coaching hire this offseason.
Yeah, sure. Hell yeah. Is the D line awful this year compared to the past 2 years? For sure. Did we overrate some areas? Absolutely. But that doesn't take away from the fact that by and large, the bigger picture is simple and obvious. It's coaching in a sport where coaching means the most. So, if you want to criticize Douglas in certain areas, go for it. Be my guest. But, when you look at the entire picture and, many of the things I hear from within the organization, they love Douglas. They loved what he did with personnel and talent. And when I compare his drafts to other drafts, go ahead, compare side by side the Baltimore Ravens drafts, the same time period against Douglas's. I defy you to say Douglas did a poor job, or the Niners, or the Chiefs even. The only team that is just stands off the page in terms of that's incredible is Detroit, in my opinion. Draft comparison year by year. Douglas ain't perfect. No GM is, but again, it's so easy to spot on the field. It's coaching, it's leadership. I wrote something. I think I told you, Jake, too, but this is painful. When the Jets were 4-2 in Green Bay, the young Jets had arrived quicker than people thought in 2022. Cheeseheads after the game, 4-2, all the vibes are great. What happens that very night? A couple hours later, Elijah Moore cries about not getting the ball. That doesn't happen if leadership and coaching is in place. And if it does happen, you quickly resolve it and you get that dude out of town and you get him out of the locker room. So to me, it's a leadership thing.
100%. And look, are there other issues with this team? Obviously, a football team is not just about one thing when you're 3-10. There's a multitude of things, but I mean, I'm sorry. I have watched every game this year. I have watched every game the Jets have played for the last 20-something years. I have never seen a Jets team coach this badly, Robbie. And I'm not sitting here trying to dunk on Jeff Ulbrich. He was in a tough spot. He clearly was not ready for the role. Woody Johnson made a huge mistake in hindsight doing what he did with Saleh just 5 games in. But the coaching is by far the biggest issue for this team. Fixing that alone with some of the pieces that they do still have under contract for next year, they're going to win more games. Like, look at the Jets roster compared to some of these other 3-10 teams that are right there in the draft order, or the 2 teams that are in front of them. It's not even close. It's really not. No. And I think that's what just makes this season so maddening.
Yeah, no, it's not close. And yeah, I'm on that train. Did Woody make a mistake with Saleh firing him? Yes. You should either be. I'm a nuanced guy. I don't like the extremes, but from Woody's perspective, in terms of ownership, either be all out or all in. And if you're all in with the regime, don't do what you did in terms of, yes, you want to ask questions. Yes, you want to be on top of it, but it was a bridge too far. And if you brought Saleh into the year, let him finish. So I agree. And would they have more wins? Sure. But at the same time, man, it's really hard to convince me that it means much, because they come out week 1 and got absolutely bullied by a team that's not even that great in the Niners this year. Tennessee again, came out, got absolutely bullied. Fortunate, Will Levis just gave them the ball in some respects. So Saleh, it's the same old story. And with Douglas, an interesting note too to consider is this: not all organizations are run the same. Yes, Jets fans have issues with Woody, and I understand them. The Jets GM needs to be, how do I put this? He needs to have more of leadership more of a leadership bone in him than other GMs across the league because, an organization like Green Bay or Pitt, there's more of an infrastructure where the GM could just focus on talent, personnel, what have you. With the Jets, they look towards the GM to run so much more. And that's why the dictatorship, the one guy at the top of the hierarchy is so much more important. And I think in some of those areas, Douglas wasn't the right guy.
We're talking with Robby Sabo in his weekly spot on the show. If you joined this stream late, you might be wondering, are there super chats? Where's the Gustbuster hotline link? Well, StreamYard this morning is experiencing nationwide audio connection issues. So Robby and I can hear one another, but no one else could hear us if we were live on YouTube. Maybe not. So we are pre-recording this, and then we will air it on my normal YouTube channel. Hopefully, if you tune in later today at 4 p.m. Eastern time, when Andrew Fialco joins us for the weekly film review, everything will be full systems go, and we'll do the giveaway for the big-time jersey we have here, the number 95 Quinnen Williams jersey on the show this afternoon. All right, before we get into the report that came out Sunday morning from the NFL Network, I want to pause and talk about today's sponsor. That's the Perfect Jean.
Trust me, you'll never go back to your Levi's after you try these. The Perfect Jean is known for its unique denim fabric that stretches for comfort when you're on the go.
I want to feel comfortable in my jeans. The Perfect Jean provides a size for everyone.
You can literally choose the color, style, and size. It doesn't get any easier than buying these jeans.
Do yourself a favor and stop wasting money on jeans that you'll stop wearing after one wash. Get the Perfect Jean.
That's right. Take full advantage right now. The Perfect Jean holiday season. Code Asman15. You'll save 15% on the most comfortable jeans you will ever purchase. F your khakis, as they would say, and get yourself some brand new jeans. They're comfortable. They are very stretchable. I mean, that's important for me. We don't want your you-know-what to be all scrunched up. And once again, get them discounted. Use the promo code Asman15. I know all of you need some new jeans. I'm going to urge you to use the Perfect Jean as your jean provider. Go to theperfectjean.nyc right now and take full advantage. Theperfectjean.nyc, or just Google the Perfect Jean. They got over 5,000 different combinations on their site. Check it out. Code Asman15 to get yourself some brand new jeans. All right, let's bring Robby Sabo back on the show right now, because Robby, there was a report from the NFL Network lead reporter, lead insider Ian Rappaport, on what the Jets might do at quarterback this offseason. This was Ian with the latest.
Thanks, Tom. So much focus has been on the Jets quarterback situation. We know, of course, by now, Aaron Rodgers needs to play better to be on the roster for next year. But let's get into it a little further. My understanding is the Jets could and likely will still draft a young quarterback, whether or not Aaron Rodgers is on the roster. If they draft a young quarterback, they need a bridge starter. Essentially, that's what Rodgers is now. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers' good buddy Davante Adams will focus on him this week, answering questions about his future. My understanding, and go back to the trade from the Las Vegas Raiders, he made sure to maintain his leverage. And if he wants to get cut, if he wants to be free at the end of the year, it is still possible, mainly because Davante Adams and his camp would not allow the Jets to touch the final 2 years of his deal, $35 million per year. Jets are never going to pay that. He could get out if he wants to.
Okay, so there's two aspects of the report I want to get your thoughts on. The first being about Rodgers, the second being about Davante Adams. I mean, the first part, here's my thing. How would Ian know that? Or where is he getting that information from when right now the Jets don't have a general manager and they don't have a head coach? Like, that to me is just like not really a report of any substance. It's just connecting the dots. Oh, whether Rodgers is here or not, he's 41 going on 42 if he's here next year. Obviously, the Jets coming off a 3-10 season that's only getting worse are going to be in the market for a quarterback if there's someone they like in the first round. Like, that to me is not anything that's newsworthy, especially because, once again, I mean, is he getting that from Woody? Like, anyone he's getting that from, really, it doesn't matter at this point because we don't know who the GM or the coach is.
Dead on. It's, there's a boring take. I get it. It doesn't move the needle, and fans want to discuss it as opposed to what I'm going to say, which contrasts with that thought. It doesn't matter. I don't care about what Rodgers' future right now, honestly, because it is meaningless until, like you said, you get the GM and the head coach and you hire the right guys to lead this ship. Rodgers will take care of itself. That's the way I think about it. So I don't care about Rodgers' future. And I'd like to see him play well down the stretch. I thought he had a great game in Miami. I missed Joe's spot with you yesterday, so I don't know what he said with you, but I saw his the Pain podcast, and he's on the cool with Rodgers returning, hating the media, running him out of town type deal, and wants Davante back too. I think he actually mentioned Sauer, and he saw Namath throwing a Sauer and Maynard, which is a little much, but I love Joe. Listen, if I'm the Jets, I keep all options open. That's what I would do right now. And any information people are getting has to be, this is the way I think about it, has to be Rodgers, the Jets thinking Rodgers won't return under any circumstances. So maybe they have to feel like they have to get ahead of it. Oh, you don't want me? Okay, we don't want you type thing. Other than that, Rodgers in the headline moves the needle for companies. So it could be one of the two things.
I mean, look, if there's a quarterback they love, obviously you allow that new general manager to take that player. Yeah. But the question's going to be for the Jets, are they going to be in range to get one of the top quarterbacks? And we know how things change once we get to the actual pre-draft process. But right now, the overwhelming thought from the draft people is that there's only really two guys that are probably worthy of top 10 picks. That's Shedeur Sanders from Colorado and Cam Ward from Miami. You look where the Jets are in the Tankathon standings. Despite being 3-10, they're slated to pick 7 right now. They actually lost a spot despite losing on Sunday. Go figure. Now, this obviously could change a lot over the last 4 weeks. But my point being, are the Jets even going to be in range to take one of the quarterbacks? And they don't have a GM, and we don't know what the plan is yet with Rodgers. So I think anyone speculating on what the Jets are going to do, or any report from Ian on, they'll take a young quarterback regardless of what happens. I mean, maybe, but there's too many factors before you can even get to that part in April.
Yes, and Rappaport is smart. He connects the dots, like you said. Yes, Sanders and Ward, the only two right now at the top. But remember this animal that is the draft in the post-Sam Bradford era. Quarterbacks shoot up that first round in that top 10 late. And he's probably thinking, okay, Ewers or whoever else, someone's going to shine. And they're lotto tickets. And GMs take these guys, understanding there's probably over a 50% chance they're going to bust. But it happens so often that you just move on from them easily, because the slotted salary lets you do that very easily. So I think he's banking on where the Jets are picking. There will be guys that shoot up the draft, and everything he's hearing from New York is that maybe Rodgers doesn't want any part of the Jets next year, and the Jets are getting ahead of that, but that's just speculation.
And even if Rodgers is back, to me, he's back as a bridge quarterback, which is what Ian said. And honestly, no matter how you feel about Rodgers, he's certainly not the only reason why this team is 3-10. He's probably played.
He could still play too. He honestly could still play. I mean, I'm not saying he's Unitas in his prime or Rodgers in his prime, but he could still play. If I'm the Jets, I'm doing everything I can to just keep every option open for my leader, whoever that may turn out to be. I agree.
Well, yeah. my thing is, he's played like a bridge quarterback, and when you evaluate your options, you might come to the determination, all right, he's our best option, but then you're also weighing the salary cap ramifications, a new regime coming in, maybe wanting to set their own culture. And can you do that with Aaron here? And everything's been about him the last couple of years. Is there, a balancing act a new coach and GM wants to deal with the Hall of Fame quarterback still here as you're trying to set everything up for the future? Like, those are the things you're weighing. But I think the idea that there's no path for Rodgers to be here next year, I'm not buying that. If he puts together 4 more games like what we just saw on Sunday where he played well, Mike Vrabel, for example, might be here being like, yeah, I'll take Aaron back for a year and I'll draft my guy behind him. And I'm the right coach that can handle Aaron Rodgers because he respects me and I respect him. So, I think it's probably more likely than not Aaron's not here next year. But I don't think it's completely decided he won't be here next year. As you said, I'd keep every option open with 4 games to go.
Yeah, and even if Rodgers is on the train, I'm not saying this is the case, but even if he's on the train where he's leaking or telling his inner circle, hey, I'm not coming back, it's a disaster under any circumstances, that doesn't mean it still might not happen. Like you said, if you get the right guy in here, things could turn in an instant. I almost said freaking. I got Beningo on the mind. So, yeah, dude, Listen, it's a dead period. We know February is one of the dead periods, June in the NFL. For the Jets, December has been that as well. So I think we're just trying to get to the offseason at this point in a lot of respects with the headlines.
Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. No calls today. No super chats. You could blame StreamYard for that, but we're still giving you the greatness that is Robby Sabo of JetsXFactor.com. Reminder that if you want to support Robby and the incredible team over at JetX, that you should sign up and become a JetX member for exclusive premium ad-free content. And we got a promo code for you. Promo code Asman will get you that first month of your JetX membership for just 99 cents. So check it out. If you guys hate the media that covers the Jets and you want to support an independent outlet that is fair and objective, JetX, JetsXFactor.com.
And we have a dedicated Jake Asman page on JetX as a partner. So you click that bad boy, you peruse around, and you help Jake in the Google rankings, the YouTube rankings, every time you click and read. So that's a nice little bonus.
There we go. All right, the other report, or the other, I guess, notable takeaway from that report from Ian is Davante Adams. Now, he said earlier in the week, last week, he would be open to coming back. He's enjoyed his time here despite the fact they haven't done any winning since he's been a Jet. Yeah. Your thoughts on Davante? We know his contract is basically set up where either the Jets can extend him or they're going to cut him because they're not going to carry, a $35 million cap hit for a 31-year-old wide receiver next year. But Davante, to me, is still a very good football player. We saw that again on Sunday. And whether or not Rodgers is here or he's not here, I'd look to bring him back as long as the money is reasonable. You could save cap by getting rid of him for sure, but you're going to be on the hook for $8 million against your cap next year, or even if you spread it out over 2 years. I wonder if there's a way to bring him back, regardless who the quarterback is, if he's open to it, because where are you finding another number 2 wide receiver? And you look at the Jets depth chart, you have Garrett Wilson, who's great. And then after that, if you don't have Davante, and you're probably moving on from Allen Lazard, I mean, Malachi Corley is not ready to be a number 2. Xavier Gibson is not a number 2. You're very thin at wide receiver. You're going to need to replace Lazard and Adams anyway. I would try and keep Davante regardless what they do with Aaron Rodgers. Your thoughts on that?
All true. And, on top of it, I'm a backer of Douglas's personnel, how he did a great job acquiring talent. But the greatest criticism in my mind is the fact that he didn't bring in enough legit veteran leadership, in the early going, 2021, 2022. He had some guys. CJ Mosley obviously was already there. He's a leader, but he's more of a quiet dude. And I think if they had the right type guys in that locker room, an Elijah Moore situation doesn't happen. I know it falls more on the coaching in my mind, but that's another part of it. That's another bucket of this entire leadership issue. And not only is Davante productive, he's going to help Garrett. That is indisputable. He'll help Garrett along, and Garrett's, obviously do everything to keep him. But yeah, it can't be for that cap hit for sure. But if you extend him and keep him, why not? But I think other than that, weapon-wise, got to get a tight end. They haven't had a vertical threat tight end in so damn long. So I think that's the other major thing offensively.
Hit the like button if you're tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Should the Jets bring back Davante? Look, he's been a good soldier. He says the right things. I think the question with bringing him back would be, what's he going to be like if Rodgers is not here and this team is losing next year?
It depends on the quarterback too, obviously. What kind of quarterback you bring in? What kind of offense are you looking at?
Who's the coach? Does he have respect for who the head coach is?
Yeah. Is it going to be healthy towards 2 receivers or not really? I hope so, because in this league, you have to have 2 receivers involved. And if you're grounding and pounding, I think that's the wrong way to go in this league with the way the rules are. But it depends on a lot of factors.
No doubt about that. It's just, so many questions with this team. But one guy who's not a question is Garrett Wilson. Another huge game on Sunday, Robby. That's a guy that if I'm the GM of the Jets, one of my first things I'm doing to kind of send a message to the locker room is I'm extending that guy and putting the C on him going forward.
Agreed. And you remember the summer when we were talking about DJ Reed and the future and who they may keep and have the money to keep, and we mentioned Breece Hall. Hey, Jets fans, get ready. We might not be able to extend Brees Hall with the numbers. Look where we are now. I mean, are Jets fans jumping off a cliff now with that idea? Not really. Yeah, I hate it. I love running backs, but the running back position is devalued, and Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis played well. Braylon Allen hits the hole hard, relentlessly. I think Brees has done that a little better as the season has gone along. But I think the moral of the story is Brees is not his skill set is more of a Folk. It's not that of a Derrick Henry. You kind of want to use him, not sparingly, but you kind of want to use him in a more unique way than they tried to use him in the past 3 years.
I want to get you out of here on this. You wrote a story on Jets X Factor this morning that basically highlights which traits are the most important in regards to the Jets head coach search. I want you to kind of expand on what you wrote in the story, and people check it out on the website for the full column. When you're Woody Johnson going through this process, and you got Tannenbaum and Spielman and the 33rd team assisting you with the process of getting the candidates and maybe being in the room for the interviews, what are those traits that you think the Jets need to identify with their prospective head coaching candidates?
Yeah, Woody, Mikey T, who again, I mean, as maniacs know, I'm not a fan of the 33rd team thing on paper, but Mikey T, Spielman, hey, I like that move. Spielman, Woody, Mikey T, Christopher, even vice chairman. It's the four traits. I put down 4 traits, and it's not limited to just that, but they all deal with leadership. And if all things are equal, I agree that an offensive guy is the way to go, like a Ben Johnson or a Monk. And I don't know if Ben Johnson has that leadership bone in him, those traits. I don't know him well enough. But in Jets land, all things are not equal. And I think they need a leader, somebody who holds guys to account, a taskmaster, excuse me. So the 4 traits are: number 4, innovative; number 3, flexible and versatile. You know, we saw with this Jets team, this scheme was too stubborn. They didn't adjust. They didn't think about what the offense was trying to do to them. It was all gas, no break, downhill, through the gaps. How many times have we seen a misdirection, a screen, a counter, a draw, a trap? Anything that's longer developing, kill them in the running game. And if it happens one week, you don't want it to happen the next week. If it happens one year, how in the hell is it keep happening year after year? And don't tell me their run defense numbers are great, because that's just ridiculous. The numbers defensively are dictated based on game flow and certain things that happen.
Yeah, you can't watch the Jet defense this year and feel good about their defense despite whatever stat you want to find. Anytime they needed a big stop all year, they can't do it.
Oh, dude, it's just so those are the 2, and then the top 2. Actually, forget what the second one is. But the top one is authenticity. I don't care who you are. Kids could do it. I coach high school. Kids, high school football players, could see through fraud a million miles away. And there's nothing worse being in a locker room on the practice field, taking orders from a guy who, by and large, the team thinks is somebody else that he's pretending to be. Like, it is a cancer from within. If the top guy who barks orders and who sets the tone is not genuine. I mean, and it's not one size fits all. It doesn't have to be Pete Carroll or Jerry Glanville. It could be Belichick, a curmudgeon. It doesn't matter what the disposition is. As long as that guy is authentic and genuine, then okay, that is the building block, because it's about human relationships. And I think that's the most important thing. So innovative, versatile, authentic. I forget what the other one is. I'll come up with it in a moment, but they all deal with leadership. And I think authenticity is the number 1 thing.
You tell me if any of the guys that you're envisioning for this role were named by one of the great Asmaniacs out there, Peter Castro.
We got to get rid of Yolbrick and then go after Gabriel first. Then I want Queensberry. Got to look at the monkey guy. I like Floney, and maybe Slow Dick in Houston is the answer.
Were any of those guys the answer?
Oh, yeah, nice. Slow Dick. Okay, it's Slowick. Flonase, Flores. Who were the first 2?
Yulbrick.
Yeah, that's not the answer. Oh, by the way, accountable is the other trait. That's the 4th trait. And yeah, I mean, dude, this team hasn't been on its toes and held to account in so long. But yeah, dude, Flores and Vrabel, I'm all on board right now, and those two top my list. I know there's some questions about Vrabel. I've heard some things that lukewarm feelings about Vrabel in terms of what has he really done in terms of innovation to make the league copy him. But I don't think it's
How about wins? All right.
Yeah,
What has he
agreed.
really done? He's won. He's won 9 or more games in 4 of his 6 years. He's a disciplinarian. He will change the culture inside that building. He's hired 2 offensive coordinators that then became head coaches. As a defensive guy, he's doing that. I mean, come on, man. It's not like he's had great quarterbacks. He was winning with Ryan Tannehill, who at best has been a slightly above average quarterback in his career.
Agreed. And, Dan Campbell reminds me of it. They're kind of mirrors of each other in
Who'd win
terms
in a
of
fight? That'd be interesting.
It
Those
would
guys are
be fun.
jacked.
Someone's kneecaps are getting pushed
Oh,
down
yeah.
to the shin. Holy cow. But okay, Dan Campbell isn't that innovative mind. I don't think we should pretend he is, yet his OC is. That's a notch. That's a feather in the cap for Dan Campbell. And that's sort of the same thing with Vrabel, with the FedEx boy. They're doing his thing as OC with him. So Arthur Smith. So, dude, I'm all in for Vrabel. I'm all in for Flores. We're still very early in the process. I could change. And in Ben Johnson, listen, I love what he's done. He's had the benefit of a great offensive line. When fans look at the Lions and say, man, how come the Jets can't run these plays and be this imaginative? A lot of it starts with the O-line. Goff and Johnson are afforded the right to do that because of how good the O-line is. Granted, it takes time and you need to have that offensive mind to do it. But a lot of it's the O-line. So Ben Johnson could climb up the list. Monken is also in the mix as well.
The monkey guy?
Yeah, there we go. The monkey guy. So who else did I miss? Obviously, Rex is going to be, no matter what I say, he's going to be in the mix for fans for sure. And I get it. Who else did I mix? Who's topping your list, Jake?
Number 1 on my list is Mike Vrabel.
Okay.
I would say number 2 would be Ben Johnson.
Okay.
Number 3 would be.
This is interesting. I want to see what you say with this one.
Brian Flores.
Okay.
4 would be
Glenn. I forgot about Glenn too.
Todd Monken.
Okay.
And then 5. I'm sorry, Robbie. I know you don't agree, but number 5.
You go, Rex.
Sexy Rexy.
Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. You tried to throw him away, but this man's coming back. Sometimes he's fat or thin. That waistband makes him slim. He's got the fix you need. They call him Sexy Rexy.
Fuck Gruden, he's no Jet. I'm here to crack some skulls. I'll turn these boys to men. This team is stacked with pros. Hire me, it won't break your purse. I'm here to break the curse. They call me Sexy Rexy. Fuck all you naysayers.
Ooh, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy, sexy. Ooh, he's sexy, Rexy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, if he gains 75 pounds, I might be more prone to bring him back.
I agree. We need pre-lap band Rex if we're doing this again.
When did he get it? 2011?
I think after the 2010 season.
Yeah, I mean, do we believe in coincidences? Honestly,
I know. The Jets started to decline once he got skinny. It was like CeCe that one year he tried to lose weight and then he stunk and he's like, I got to be fat again, and then he pitched well at the end of his career.
Hey, listen, to play devil's advocate, I'm fair. I think if Rex were to be brought in with this team that he has, I think they could have success right away. Similar to 2009, although a little fortunate based on the way it ended. But I think they could have success. I just don't like it for the long term. I mean, we're asking for a lot around Rex to make it work. So, but a defensive mind-wise, in terms of traditional practices and techniques, I'm all about Rex. Love Rex. The NFL's not that way anymore, unfortunately.
He's Robby Sabo. My name is Jake Asman. It appears like StreamYard is working again. Go figure.
After those freaking guys, man.
After we had to basically pre-record the show. Either way, 4 p.m. today, we'll chat it up, do a film review. with Andrew Fialco. Robbie, I appreciate you hopping on, my friend. Congrats to you on being a New York State champion football coach. You've earned it.
All the kids get the credit.
Love the kids.
Thrilled for the kids.
JetsXFactor.com. Read Robbie's work there. Read the entire team's work there. Check it out if you want fair, honest Jet coverage. JetsXFactor.com. He's Robby Sabo. My name is Jake Asman. Thank you for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. And, of course, hang in there, Jet fans. We are all in this together. Have a good one, everybody.